Hey guys, Tarke here, and we've got another Patreon build review. This is a very weird one, and it's got a lot of stuff going on, so I'm just going to read through what the guy sent to me, and then we'll try and improve the build as much as we can for what he said. So, he said, it's a homegrown build, Vaal Arc / Herald of Agony. Use the Herald of Agony to get you through the dry patches of souls when your cast speed gets too high. And he's a Pathfinder, using Soul Catcher, so the idea is that he's meant to be just like spamming Vaal Arc on cooldown. So I asked him if there's any weaknesses in particular he wants to try and fix. He says, the build started using Volker's Guidance, that's the elemental damage from poison gloves, which capped out in white maps. Zerfi's Heart conversion and its Zeri's Promise doubled my damage from there. It also means I don't do much poison damage. My boss plan is to poison to help Herald of Agony with the Ball, Lightning, Vaal Arc, then Curse, Step, Plague Bearer, I guess he means Curse, Withering Step. Plague Bearer, this is how I kill yellow Metamorphs. Once they start to spawn ads, they vanish due to the Vaal Arcs. I die to one-shots, I don't think the build could ever do Awakener since it has no ads. Yellow Legions do okay. I usually don't kill them all in one arc, so there is some chasing stragglers. Mining's fun, but I've never been very deep. I've never made it to red maps before, but I might with this one. Just finished my last white map. As far as what I'd like feedback on, Ellie Prolif. I don't know if the ignite damage is worth, as I don't change fire res for that. Basically, he's got a lot going on in this build. Zerfi's Heart is okay. It really does not work as well. My cast speed gets too high. As the rest of the gear, belt and quiver would be hard to improve at this point. But I'm not really excited about any of the other stuff. The bow is decent. Didn't get too lucky on the fossil, but it gets the job done. Bow and quiver is probably still better than a staff. Also, for the general true, this is one of my most successful builds so far. And then he says some stuff about, like, he's happy to support the channel. By the way, I'm not married to Vaal Arc. Most of my damage is generic. I am married to using Vaal skills, though, as that is what I'm trying to build around. Okay. So there is a lot that this dude is going for. We'll just quickly go through his gear here, because I think it's a bit easier to look at. Then we'll go into Path of Building, and we'll try and just throw out some suggestions. So, he's using a fossil-crafted bow, which gives him reduced soul cost of Vaal skills. So this, in conjunction with the Soul Catcher Flask, which has reduced soul gain prevention, and is a path and a bunch of flask effect, you get multiple use of your Vaal skills, and his idea is that he's just like Perma, Vaal Arcing. And because he's a Pathfinder, he's got some poison stuff going on, so that he's also generating poison. So he's got the Herald of Agony to do some boss damage. And it's a bit all over the place. He's also got Zerfi's Heart, which chaos damage can ignite, shock, and chill. And he's got Soul Eater for 10 seconds and uses a Vaal skill. So his idea is, because he's always pressing Vaal skills, he always got Soul Eater up, so he's getting big zoom. So I can kind of understand what's going on there. And that's why he also mentioned Ignite, because he does some chaos damage. That's just like he doesn't know if he should focus on Ignite. He's got Blasphemer's Grasp, which this is kind of weird to me. I'm guessing he's got this for the damage over time to scale his Ignite. A little bit of life sacking, and then some increased effect for ailments. Not too keen on that. He's also using 2 Call of the Brotherhoods, which I'm like, I really am not into that. And then he's got the, he's doing like Cold to Fire stuff in his, oh, he's made his arc weird. So he's using Shroud of the Lightless, double Call of the Brotherhood, Cold to Fire. Okay, this is pretty inefficient, and he's running Ellie Prolif. So he's like going everywhere with this. And then he's got a life resist, because he needs some chance to poison, because he needs to be able to poison to proc his Herald of Agony. And then he's got, let's see, looks like fairly normal Herald of Agony links. With Vaal Toxins as well. I don't think he should be putting Vaal Toxins. I haven't played Herald of Agony in a long time, but Vaal Toxins, there must be a better link there. He's got Unleash, Blood Magic, GMP Ball Lightning. So he's also unleashing the Ball Lightnings. to get poisons for the Herald of Ag. Oh, God. Increased AoE, Blood Magic, Plague Bearer, Withering Step. Despair, Herald of Ice. That's how I feel right now. Despair, Herald of Ice, Curse on Hit, Blind. Okay. Right. We're gonna have to cut some stuff from this build, obviously. So we'll cut some things, we'll give out some suggestions, and then we'll look at the tree. So he said that his main issue was survivability, because he said he was getting one shot. And he says that he doesn't think he can boss with the build. That isn't what he made the build to do. So I don't want to completely change everything about his build. 131% life. I definitely want to change that about his build. I want to do either one of two things. I either want to make a build that at least it has the same like weird idea and it like maps really well, but it's squishy, but at least it's fast and it's fun and it's different. Or we want to make it more well-rounded, a bit less all over the place, and just like focus all in on one thing. He said that he was married to Vaal skills, but not necessarily Vaal arc. I'm just gonna throw this out as an idea. I'm not gonna build it, but Perma Vaal Earthquake Pathfinders is a thing. Also Poison Vaal Earthquake was a thing. There was a guy who, a couple of leagues back, made like a Reddit thread. He's talking about deep delving on that stuff. If you were to look up Poison Earthquake Pathfinder, it does the poison thing that this guy wants to do, and it does the Vaal skill thing of always having Vaal Earthquake up, but it's a bit more focused. It's not like everywhere. So that might be something to maybe research. We'll assume he's sticking with spells for this. So we'll at least stick to spells, but I would highly recommend looking into Vaal Earthquake. So he wants as much flask effect as he can get. And he wants to get some generic minion scaling. Fair enough. But we need to up this life. And he's got a lot of jewels. So let's work out what jewels he's running. So he's running Vaal Pact. Jeez, okay, we're cutting, right? We're cutting a lot. Okay, so what's this? This is Conqueror's Potency. For more flask effects. Okay. Poison on hit, jewel, no life. No damage. Well, he's got light, but no life. Poison on hit, no life. Okay. That's got life, at least. Alright, that's good. Minion damage. That's not worth. Drop that. Life, bunch of damage. Life, a bunch of damage. Right, and what's this? Life, bunch of damage. Okay. Let's just cut some stuff out. So these are just things that are randomly leveling weapon stuff, so we can get rid of these. Alright, this whole ignite thing, throwing that shit in the bin. Like, that's fucking gone. So I'm gonna drop the Blasphemer's Grasp. That's yoink. If he just wants to go fast, Soul Eater will make him play faster, so fair enough. I would probably drop the Xerfes. The lightning to cold to fire stuff, I would drop, personally. And if you want to go that way, fair enough, but at least then go, like, Shroud of the Lightless. But I would drop all of that stuff. Yeah. I would probably recommend going for a Vaal Stormcall instead of a Vaal Arc. But whatever. Let's at the very least just clean up the tree a bit. So we want to get him to at least like 180 life. We don't need this stuff, so let's just okay. Doesn't need that. Okay. So we got it to 180. I don't like this tree. But at least it's like kind of getting there. I wouldn't go Vaal Pacts for this. I'll drop all that. Shove some life in. Okay. And yeah, if he wanted to do the whole ignite thing, he could go Stormfire. And that would at least make sense. And then he could pick up Elemental Equilibrium. And then, like, there'd be some synergy there. Like, it would kind of make sense. And he could just, like, route this way around the tree. And then he could maybe focus on his, let's just custom these 3-point jewels. He could then focus on his Herald of Agony, doing some, like, it could be more elemental focus as well. And that would kind of make, like, if you wanted to keep it, you could go that way, right? So let's keep the weird ignite idea and go Stormfire, right? Although, like, okay, he shouldn't need he shouldn't really need it. Like, he doesn't really have much. If he wants the big chaos damage, none of the building. If he wants the big chaos damage and the chaos igniting, he should be going Shroud of Eternity instead of Shroud of the Lightless. Alright. Sorry, I'm just this build. I'd probably also cut the Herald of Agony down to like a 4-link and shove it in a plus level helm, because that will free up his mana reservation a lot. And also, like, it's not meant to be a Herald of Agony build. The Herald of Agony is meant to, like, fix his build. So let's just make a plus level helmet. And, like, he's got a lot of expensive gear. So I'm assuming this guy's got some money to spend, like Soul Catcher, Zerfies. Like, stuff isn't cheap, right? So, yeah. Also, one thing which would be very much worth considering, if you're going all, like, Flask effect heavy and you're trying to get, like, big, juicy Soul Catcher Flask stuff, then having a Maraketh Jewel is pretty big, because Maraketh Jewels can give you a whole bunch of Flask effects. So, something to really consider. Something to really, really consider. I'm trying to, like, make this build make sense in my head. It's really hard to suggest. Okay, so he was stacking a bunch of jewels with poison stuff. What good poison stuff is near him? Let's poison with hits, poison. Let's poison with attacks. So generic poison stuff's kind of up that way, so you can't really go up that way. This is a weird build.
I'm Steam, dude!
Thanks very much, the sub, and good morning, Pie. We're doing a Patreon build review, and it's a it's a build. We're doing it's a build review. That's for sure. That's for sure. It's a build review. Right. Okay. Alright. This belt's pretty decent. Yeah, I'd kind of want, like, reduced fast charges used on there.
I'm Steam, dude!
Thank you very much, Mim, for the 16 months. I also noticed you don't have bleed removal, which is kind of important. So definitely reroll your life flask for bleed removal. You have a lot of flask effects, like a lot of flask effects. When you have this much flask effect and life recovery from flask, I actually really like going for catalyzed. Let's just quickly make him a catalyzed eternal. Not utility, sorry. You just give you like a really big, like, full zoop, and shove Storching on there. So at least he's now got bleed removal. He's got ailment, so his ailment stuff is covered, so that's cool. He doesn't have curse immune. And if this guy's like, he's saying he's just like spamming low tier maps like yellows, I would kind of lean heavily into that. And I just slap like a silver flask on there, so you always have the extra zoom, and shove curse on there. You definitely want to be rolling your quicksilvers much nicer as well. So let's clean this stuff up. This is one thing I see a lot of people really underappreciate their flasks, or they're lazy with their flasks. It's very important that you do the most, especially on this kind of build. You're scaling flask effects so hard, right? So let's make him a new one. On a Pathfinder with all of this stuff, you could very easily go Alchemist and have high uptime and just get super zoom. If you don't like the Alchemist playstyle, you could also go Chemists, but we'll assume he can maintain an Alchemist because he's a Pathfinder stacking flask effect. So that should be pretty yes. We're gonna drop one of these flasks for something that gives him curse, immune. Otherwise, he has to be rerolling his temp chain maps, and this is just a build that's going to be trying to zoom. Definitely keeping the soul catcher. If he balances resist, the wise oak could be great. It would offer him a bunch of defense, and if he's just going all in one element, that'd be a good vibe. The promise gives him a bunch of chaos res. He's got like no chaos res in his gear. Chaos res is all kind of important. It's generic damage. So we'll say we'll drop the Wise Oak because his gear is like all over the place and it'll be hard for him to balance his stuff for that. So another thing he could do with this build is he could make a traditional Herald of Agony Pathfinder, but have 100% uptime on the Vaal Molten Shell and have a really tanky build. It would be a completely different playstyle. He'd go from like super zoom to like I'm a super tank, but he would never die. Like he would never die. Could be something to think about. So you could go for a silver flask if you haven't got onslaught procking. You want onslaught procking on something. Otherwise, a defensive flask would be great because again, he's got like no real layers of defense going on here. If you went Vaal Molten Shell route, I'd recommend a Granite. Otherwise, you could get like a juiced up Basalt because you've got all this flask set if you're weak against Fizz. Or just going for like a Jade, or even a Quartz. I think people sleep on Quartz quite a bit. He is also zooming, so I think Quartz would be nice if he's just running through the map. I think Quartz could be decent. But definitely run a defensive, like you want a defensive flask. So we'll let him pick, but basically a defensive flask with curse immune. Good vibes. Okay. Are we gonna go Stormfire? Are we keeping this Ignite meme? Oi, 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 oi. Oi, 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 oi. What? Can't he roll? I'm pretty sure you can roll poison on hit on Elder Gloves. Let me have a look at that. I'm pretty sure I did that when I last did Herald of Agony years ago. I'm pretty sure I did that. Let's have a look, see. Incursion craft. Oh, scroll across that. Elder Poison. Right. So, if you drop the Blasphemers, you could go for a nice pair of Elder Gloves, which give you some chance to poison. And that way, you've got some nice little support. He has the utility Ball Lightning set up, so he could shove his Ball Lightning in his gloves. So let's just make him some nice Elder Gloves, right? Nothing too crazy, but like if you're gonna do a weird build, and this is a weird build, focus in. Like, focus, take everything, strip it down, focus in on one or two things, and do those right. Don't shove everything, because this build's just shoving like too much in here. Let's say he's sticking to evasion gear. I would probably recommend going all armor gear and running like a molten shell or something. Let's just say whatever. And let's say it's Elder. And then you've just got that's poison duration. Yeah. Boom. Doesn't really matter what level it is, but just has poison on there, gives increased chance of poison. Good for his stuff. Is there anything else nice on there that he'd want? He doesn't need any of the damage over time multiplier stuff because he's not actually scaling that way. So, yeah, just that. And he could go for faster projectiles if he wants, so his ball lightning travels further. Could go for frenzy. I'd probably just say, just go for life. Get as much life as you can. And go for the poison stuff. And then is there any cool stuff you could craft on there? You can get plus levels. Not relevant really for the ball lightning. Non-Vaal skills, nope. Onslaught during soul game prevention. He's always got the souls. Increased damage while leeching. Nah. Increased damage during flask effects. He's got a flask active. You get some like generic damage. Yeah, something kind of like that. But I'd focus just on getting as much life as possible, getting some poison to get some utility. We want to get him to like 6.5k life. And then we'll try and get his damage back up because we tanked his DPS. We're saying that we would remake the helm, but using a plus level helmet. Other things you could do, you could use essences. There's one of the essences, 50% of physical damage added as lightning damage. So if you went for like the Stormfire Ignite setup using EE, that could kind of make sense. So you got a bunch of like lightning damage being added to your oh no, because he's debuffing. No, that wouldn't make sense. Oh, this build. This build. Yeah, this bloody build. Oh, yeah. I would recommend a plus level helmet though. Oh god. We might not improve his build, but we tried. we can at least make it more consistent. With fossils, he could go. Oh god. Let's bring up PvDB again. Oh yeah. Okay. How's he leeching for the Vaal anyway? I don't know. So you could get an Elder minion damage helmet, which would be pretty good for him. And he could also get some generic damage added to his spells if he wanted to. So I'd just say like a minion damage Elder hat. You know, let's go. Anything cool? And just crafting, that's pretty easy. It's pretty whatever. I'm not expecting him to do like awakening bullshit because like this guy probably has some money, but I'm not expecting him to have loads of money. It's another Elder item. If he wanted to keep the Blasphemer's Grasp whole like meme setup going on, this is at least another Elder item for the Blasphemer's Grasp, which is something. It's a prefix, right? Yeah. So focus on getting a +3 minion damage helmet. Shouldn't be that difficult if he's spamming bound fossils in there. If he's also spamming banned fossils in there, there's a chance you could get some reduced mana reservation. Having some reduced mana evasion would be nice for him because it lets him, you know, pump more stuff into his Herald of Agony. I'm just assuming like tier 2 life, kind of realistic-ish. This like isn't too insane, so we'll shove that in there. Boom. And then we'll move his Herald of Agony. What's he even gotten? And then he could move his Varlark into the bow, use a different chest, maybe. So let's shove that in the helmet. And now let's... what's the main attack that you're scaling? Is it the Mortar, the Tail Spike, or the default? Which one, chat? It's very important you try and get that 21 Herald of Agony. That's like big. Always damage on full life because it's always on like full life. Feeding Frenzy, couldn't you get that on like a utility? Like, couldn't you get that on a like a Carrion Golem or something? I don't know how good that is in the main link. Means draw skills if it does more damage. Feeding frenzy. We don't need the minion damage anymore because he's got it from the hat. Wasn't Vicious Proj really good for these boys? It's been a long time since I played Herald of Agony build. Let's quickly go on PV Ninja and look at Herald of Agony links. Herald of Agony, Vicious Proj, damage from full life, minion damage, Maim. Maim's good because it's cheap. Pierce, Vicious Proj. Yeah, I remember Vicious Proj being really good. Pierce is great because it's like it's utility and it's cheap. Cheap, Pierce, Proj. Trying to look at a jug. Pierce, minion damage, Proj. So, I'm gonna get rid of you. Feeding Frenzy, get that shit somewhere else. That. Vicious Projectiles, and let's give them Pierce. If you don't want to use Pierce here, you could also have a Projectile Weakness Curse on hit or something going on. But yeah, with this setup, you've now got 20% mana unreserved. It also means you can read Blood Magic from which you've got other things, which gives you some more skill gems. And you now need to invest into reduce mana realization at all. If you're not going Stormfire, you could route this way again, and you get the Grave Pact back. You also get some DPS scaling for you on a Jewel. You also get some more strength. Let's swap that background. It's level 93 tree. The guy's character was like level 89 or something. It's pretty realistic-ish. It's weird because I'm trying to like focus on two different parts of a build. He's going for more minor nodes and more flask effect. I'm not a big fan of Virulence on Pathfinder. It might make his Herald of Agony feel a bit smoother, which could be kind of nice. But I can completely understand why he's just going for more flask effect. Might even just be worth going for Nature's Adrenaline, to be honest, just so you're mapping a bit faster, because movement speed. But anyway, we're just going back. We're just trying to like clean up his gear. Okay. So if we were to move his Varlark into his bow and drop the Shroud of the Lightless, because he doesn't really need the Shroud of the Lightless. So let's ditch that. So let's move that to his weapon. Let's... these fucking links, dude. Right. Let's go into the Varlark. Okay. Try and get a 21 Varlark. It's gonna be expensive, but you had some stuff going on. You can probably afford a Varlark. Really go for a level 21 Varlark. It's really important. You're using Herald of Agony. Sorry, you're using Herald of Ice. You want to be Shattering, but you're Ellie Overload. I would probably drop that and go Herald of Thunder. Oh god. There's too much happening in this build. If you want to stick with the cold conversion, you could go Hypothermia on the Varlock, so at least that will increase the chance of the shadows. But let's shove the controlled destruction in there. I'd probably just go Ellie Focus and drop all that other stuff. Definitely want to be running a Lightning Pen. Like, you want to be dealing damage. Shit's important. It hasn't really got that much damage on his gear. Really hasn't got much damage going on. Crafting the bows is crafting the weapons is really expensive with the Vaal fossil. I would seriously like go Vaal Earthquake, but I don't want to like we're changing his build a lot. I don't want to like completely throw it in the bin. But I would focus on just like playing an actual, you know, arc build. Yeah. What's that do? Chaos damage can ignite chill and shock. And it adds some chaos damage. If you're reliably chilling, I would run hypothermia. You probably will be reliably shocking. It's going to be like a low effective shock. It's got like 10% or something. Call the enemy a boss. Ignite would be up. Chill, maybe. Maybe. Ugh. Obviously, he won't be shocking if he's using a focus. Let's look at some random soul catcher setups. I don't really like Arc as a self-cast skill. Just because it's one of those things where... Let's just look at soul catcher builds. I'm curious what their main skills are. So you got some Vaal Fireball. Vaal Fireball is pretty fun. Vaal Stormcall. This guy's good on Vaal Arc. Level 100. Yeah, Vaal Fireball could be fun. He's gone for the Eternity Shroud. He's gone up this way. He's just playing an actual caster. Gone crit. He's not doing the whole like weird stuff with Herald of Agony. I would honestly just like copy something like this and just play a normal Vaal Arc build. I wouldn't do this weird like hybrid thing. But anyway, yeah. Lestoration is actually a really good shout. Lestoration is a really good shout. So, one thing which is cool about Vaal skills is if you have Lestoration on a Vaal skill, it reduces the cooldown. Which is also why he's running the Swift Affliction. Even though he's not playing an Ignite build, he's running the Swift Affliction just so you can press it more often. Lestoration should just give some damage though. So yeah, it gives damage and it also reduces the cooldown. So that's a good vibe. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I wouldn't really recommend the Swift Affliction though. Yeah. And if you wanted to keep your Shroud of the Lightless on, then at least run these links in the Shroud of the Light ones. Shroud of the Lightless. Yeah. Otherwise, you can just go for an added lightning or something. Or if you want to try and freeze more reliably for the Herald device, you can shove in a hypothermia, so you then not be able to run the element of focus. Yeah. Yeah. I'll let you pick whatever your last link is. So, you've got that in his helmet now. We've got that either in his weapon or his chest, depending on what setup he wants to go for. So we've freed up like a 6 link, basically. I wouldn't use Despair as your curse. Because all the Despair is scaling. If you went Vaal Fireball instead of Vaal Arc, you could use Projectile Weakness, and Projectile Weakness would scale the minion and you. So going Projectile base could be a way. It could be a solid way of doing it. I probably wouldn't run the Herald device. I'd probably drop that completely, but like whatever. I also wouldn't really run Blind here, because you only really need the Blind for like bosses or Metamorphs or tanky rares that you don't instantly one-shot. You should be one-shotting everything. So Herald of Thunder would be much nicer for that. Yeah, I'd probably, or if you just want defense, I would drop this completely and just run like a flesh on stone. Yeah. I'm just gonna do that. And I just want this dude to play like a weird zoom build. It's like really silly, but at least it doesn't like fall over every 2 seconds. So even with like unequipping half of his gear, we've like shot the. We was like 4K something life. It's now like 5.7. We took off like half of his gear. Again, even if you just like put all the exact same gear back on, right? Like, he's got 6K life, so whatever. Yeah. The whole Core of the Brotherhood thing is only worth it if you go Shroud Lightless. If you go Shroud Lightless Core of the Brotherhood, like this guy did, and you're just like, I do big deepers, I'm into it. Like, I'm into it. Like, it's a good setup. But only if you can afford that, if you have that setup going for you. If you can afford this, Baz, the guy who's built this, 100% go down that route. Otherwise, just go for, like, something which just makes you tanky. You could go for something which gave you more zoom. You could go for a Duresso's... If you just want to zoom fast, you could just go for, like, a Duresso's Defiance. Duresso's Defiance is a pretty cool chest. Because it gives you the Onslaught. You have basically 100% uptime on there. And it gives you as much movement speed as a Queen of the Forest, because they cap the Queen of the Forest out. And you don't need to be scaling evasion at all. Otherwise, you could just go for Queen of the Forest and run a Jade Flask. And you'd be like... Because the guy is trying to make a go fast build, right? He's trying to make a go fast, do everything build. He's trying to do a bit too much. But yeah, I would go for this. I'd go full Onslaught effects and just like zoom. Because if you did that and you have your Onslaught up, and you had your Flask on, you're pacing, and then he's also got the Soul Eater on top, so he'd be going like, he'd be quick. The boy would be rapid. He would be a fast lad. At this point, you've got the 6K life. You've probably got enough life. If it was me, I would shove like Vermilion rings in there. Otherwise, you could go for just standard like DPS rings. So you could go for a what's the Elder ring called? Mark of the... Sorry, the Shaper ring. You go for the Shaper ring. It gives you a bunch of lightning damage. You can get Cannot Be Stunned, which is really nice. Or you can go for a bunch of spell damage. And it just gives them a bunch of damage, right? Hang on, doesn't Soul Eater yoink souls from Vaal skills? Yes. Isn't that a good point? I didn't even think about that. Doesn't that yoink from his Vaal skills? Isn't that nerfing his build? Yeah. Drop that. You're nerfing. I can't even take me like 30 minutes to notice that. Good catch, chat. Yeah. Yeah, he kind of... I don't play that many Xerfes Heart builds as a primarily private league and SSF player. I didn't even think about that. Yeah, that was something we should have noticed about 30 minutes ago. Definitely drop that. But yeah, I'd probably go for just a DPS ring, and you're just getting a bunch of extra damage there.
And Steam, dude!
Thanks for the Twitch Prime. If you had the Munge, you could get an Elder and a Shaper ring. Otherwise, just go for, like, an Elder ring and get a bunch of deeps. And, we'll just call it whatever. Is there any particularly cool Elder mods you can get on a ring? Jewelry rings. We've added a lot of Elder gear if you want to keep the Blasphemer's Clasp. Get some damage to spells. Nothing that great. You could get Poacher's Mark on hit if you wanted more Flask sustain. Also some Frenzy Charges. It's okay. He's not a crit build, so he doesn't want the crit multi. It's nothing that great. And then if you went for Shaper... He could get some like generic damage, which should be pretty nice. Get the stun immune, get the lightning damage, which should be pretty good. Spell damage. I don't know. I'd go for a ring with that, and just otherwise you could just go for just opal rings, or just going for like 2 life rings, or whatever. Let's just say that whatever the other ring is, it's just like has life, has resist, because obviously he's got to cap out his resist somewhere as well, right? Because his resist are trash. So, and we've added a bunch of random costs into his build, so let's say that he's just running like some gear with resist on it. Maybe you don't even run the Mark of the Shaper. Maybe just going for double. Maybe if he just goes to double resist rings. We don't know like what his kind of money's at. We don't know where his budget's at. It's kind of hard to gauge with this kind of thing. Since we've dropped that, are there any amulets that really leap out at me? He'd go for a plus level amulet, obviously, would be pretty good. Herald of Agony is a dex gem. Unless he went Vaal Blade Vortex, all of his Vaal skills he wants to use are either blue gems or red gems if he went Vaal Earthquake, which is what I would have done, but that would have been too different of a build. Definitely look into Vaal Earthquake, though. Anything cool he could get on Amis? Other than just the usual. Also, use PvDB when you make your builds. It makes life a lot easier. You just go for like a movement speed, Shaper Ami if he's just going to go fast. You go for Quant if he's just trying to go fast. And farm a bunch of maps out. He could go for Elden on Chaos extra Chaos damage, just get some extra deeps. 25%. He could get some Lightning Leech going on if he wants a little bit of Leech. He could go for an all Ami if he had big money. Obviously, plus level gems is going to be pretty good. Chance to get some power charges on kill, get some damage pen. Probably his best thing would just be going for like a plus level like Hunter Ami or something. But again, we don't know if he can afford it. If he could, go for plus level Hunter Ami. Don't know if you can afford that. So let's just say just shove on a amulet with a bunch of life and resist, but try and get a Hunter Ami eventually. Where are amulets? At the top, because, you know. His stat distribution is decent, which is, you know, so at least there's nothing to worry about anything up there. You could go for marble, you could go for whatever. Let's just shove an onyx on there. It's generic. And let's just give him a bunch of life. Yeah. And assuming he's just shoving resist everywhere else. So yeah, so basically, clean up your flasks. Ditch the whole ignite setup. If you want to go ignite, go Stormfire. Elite Equilibrium on Tree. I'd probably drop the Herald Device, I'd probably run Flesh and Stone. Plague Bearer is kind of cool, but I don't know realistically how much poison damage you're putting into your Plague Bearer. Maybe at the end of a map, you might have something going on. I don't know. You can drop blood magic off everything now because we gave you mana, so you don't need to worry about that. So that's kind of cool. This also means that you could shove the blind you had earlier on your ball lightning. You could shove a lesser poison on your ball lightning. So with the lesser poison and the poison from the gloves and the little bit of poison you have on the tree, you'd have a 100% poison chance on the ball lightning. Could be an option. You could shove a cast on hit on there. So I'd probably just say just shove lesser poison for now. You want to have at least one jewel which has got like flat chaos to spells. You also don't need the Conqueror's Potency unless the Conqueror's Potency is giving you a noticeable chunk on your Soul Catcher. I'd drop it. But yeah, make sure you have a Hypnotic Jewel somewhere which gives you chaos damage so that you're always poisoning without the Xeria's Promise being up. But yeah, your damage has gone up on the Vaal Arc. Your damage has gone up on the Herald of Agony. You've got more slots. You've also got like an open 6-link, which you can mess around with. So you could do something cool with that. But yeah, this is what I'm going to say for now. So basically, your survivability has gone up by like 2k life. Highly recommend looking into Vaal Earthquake. Sorry this was such a long build video. Hopefully you guys found it interesting though. But yes, Baz, thank you for the very weird Vaal Arc Hell the Agony Pathfinder. Really appreciate it. And have a good day. Bye-bye.